Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give you a quick update on why we get freezing rain instead of snow. I've had several people ask, and so I thought, well, I'll just jump on here and give a quick explanation, or at least as quick as Meteorologist Mark knows how to be. So this was a weather balloon launch from Nashville this evening showing a classic freezing rain scenario. And why do I say that? Well, this tracks temperature and moisture through the atmosphere. The red line is temperature, the green line is moisture. So we have a very moist air mass. The temperature and the moisture are right close together. And you see right down here at the very bottom, so their temperature was at 32 degrees in Nashville at the surface. Decreased with height, that's why it tilts to the left, the line does. But then as you get up in here, look, everything jots over to the right. This is a warm pocket of air aloft, okay? So cold air, like I've said before, is shallow. Arctic air is very shallow. This air is not quite Arctic, but it's very cold, and it too is shallow. So the warm air that's coming in from the south kind of goes up and over that colder air at the surface. Warm air is very light. It can rise easily. So it just rises up and over that colder air as it's moving in from the south. And so it creates this warm pocket of air here. Now, as you get on over into here, see how that warm air punches way over here. So if you get a raindrop, that's a snowflake, let's say, that starts up here at the top and it falls down, falls into that warm nose and melts, and then comes on down to the surface as a raindrop. Now, if this were higher up, let's say if this warm nose were, say, more up in here, pointing like that, then the snowflake would fall, and it would fall through there, melt, and then it would have a longer way to fall to the surface, so it would have more time to freeze, and it would freeze into a sleet pellet before it made it to the ground. So some of you all up around northern Fentress County and Overton County, you may see some sleet because your warm nose of air is a little bit higher, so it's going to be up in here, and you're going to have a little bit more time for that raindrop to freeze before it reaches the ground. That'll cut down on your freezing rain accumulation just a bit. Sleet pellets cut down on that accumulation. So the rest of us are looking at freezing rain, where that snowflake falls through that warmer nose of air, melts, and then doesn't have time to refreeze before it reaches the surface. And so it freezes when it gets here, when it touches a surface that is also, at or below the freezing mark. The two things that keep meteorologists up at night would be, what if we get more rain than we expect? Or what if the temperatures drop more than we expect? That would cause ice to accumulate a little bit more efficiently. We call that accretion. So we're not looking for that tonight. In meteorology, we always go by probabilities or chances. And the chance for an ice storm is really low, especially for those of you south of Crossville. Now, north of Crossville, especially up closer to Jamestown, Livingston, Byrdstown, you all have been below freezing a little bit longer. More of your precipitation is going to fall as freezing rain. You're the ones that are probably going to get closer to, or you have a better chance of getting closer to, the 2/10 of an inch of ice. And so that's 0.2 inches of ice. 0.25 is the minimum for an ice storm in this part of the country. So we still expect everyone to stay below that threshold, but just know that isolated locations could see a little bit more precipitation fall in sub-freezing temperatures, and so you could see a little bit more ice accretion than the rest of us. Most of us will see about 1/10 of an inch of ice or so. Because we were warmer today, we did get above freezing, so surfaces are going to take a little longer to get below freezing. I've been 32 degrees here at home for over an hour now, and I'm still having a hard time finding ice forming on anything, at least not that's of any consequence. There's some leaves and stuff that are starting to form some ice, but it'll take a lot longer for roadways to see that ice accumulation. But bridges and overpasses are always the first to show signs of freezing, so be especially careful on those. And so we'll see our light precipitation continue through the night, and we'll see our temperatures hover around freezing throughout the night, and we'll see that ice continue to slowly accumulate and give us a good glaze by the morning for many of us. Those of you with the least likely chance of seeing accumulating ice will be across southern Cumberland County, eastern Cumberland County, but even you all are expected to see enough to cause some slick spots on bridges and overpasses and whatnot. So thankfully, we're not looking at the ice storm that West Tennessee is looking at tonight. In fact, they've upgraded everyone west of Nashville now to ice storm. They got more precipitation than expected, and their temperatures are a little colder than expected. So they're being upgraded to an ice storm in that part of the country. So We'll be thankful that we're not dealing with that because we don't have to deal with power outages and all that bad stuff. But we will be looking for some hazardous travel, some tricky travel, that is for sure. And so be aware of that if you have to be out late tonight or early Wednesday morning. Well, you folks just stay warm, stay safe, and stay right here with meteorologistmark.com, and I'll keep you updated on all the latest.